welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Today in the Bible Bistro, we're looking at Psalm 140, verses 6, 7, and 8. But before we get there, let me just remind you about our new book, just for you, Finding His Way, 100 Poems Inspired by Psalm 119. I've been telling you about this book for the last week or so. But also I wanted to mention that while you're out in Amazon shopping for Finding His Way, perhaps you could stop by YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Bible Bistro has a YouTube channel, so why don't you check it out? Give me a sub. That's what all the cool kids say. Give me a sub on YouTube. Today we're looking at verses 6 through 8 here in Psalm 140. Let me read that for you. I said unto the Lord, Thou art my God. Hear the voice of my supplications, O Lord. O God the Lord, the strength of my salvation, Thou hast covered my head in the day of battle. Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves. Selah. So we have our third Selah here, and it breaks the division of this psalm. Here we go, verses 6 through 8. I said unto the Lord. Now we go from a request, but we've had request in verse 1 and in verse 2. Verses 2 and 3, in verse 1 and in verse 4 we have the request. In verses 2 and 3 and in verse 5 we explain the reason for our request. Now in verse 6 we've gone from request to confession and praise. I said, You're my God. You hear the voice of my supplications, O Lord. O God the Lord, the strength of my salvation. Notice, there's nothing here about a request. There's anything like that. He's just declaring that God is the strength of his salvation. So this is confession, this is praise, this is worship. You've covered my head in the day of battle. So when he was in a real battle with real swords and real knives and, real instruments of destruction, the Lord covered his head. Now he's in a battle that's a little more spiritual. He says, Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. See how we've switched footing now. We've gone from the battlefield and the swords and the shields and the armor to something different. This is a battlefield of a different kind. The wicked are engaged. They have wicked devices. Just like on the battlefield, you have swords and shields and armor. Here, the wicked have devices, and he asked the Lord, grant not the desires. Why? Because if you do, they will exalt themselves. Pride always wants to be seen. The proud man, and that's who he's told us that's who he is. Verse 5, the proud have hid a snare. They want to be seen. They want to have victory. They want all of this. So don't let it, Lord. Notice the request there in verse 8. Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. So we have deliver me, preserve me, keep me, preserve me. And now we have this request, grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. And I'm not going to even include 6 because 6 is, I think, a part of this confession. Hear the voice of my supplication. I think it's more of a declaration because he knows the Lord's going to hear his request. And then he makes this wonderful statement of praise there in verse 7. The strength of my salvation, you covered my head in the day of battle. So now grant not the desire of the wicked. What do they want? They want me to fall into a snare, into a net, into the gin that they've hid. Don't grant it, lest they exalt themselves. And if they exalt themselves, there's no glory for the Lord in that. And of course, that's what David, I'm sure, is reminding the Lord of here. There's only glory for them if they do this. I hope that you'll join me again tomorrow. We're going to look tomorrow at verses 9, 10, and 11. And David has some ideas about how all this should play out. So we'll see that then on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.